Module 6, campaign optimization. Let's do it. So we've got our ad campaigns running. We aren't sure necessarily what to be paying attention to, but we're learning as we go with some pretty obvious indicators. The cost that it's across different ad sets, different audiences, the traffic and conversions and metrics on the whole that are going to show us very obviously what's working and what's not. So the idea here is that we're able to create killer digital ads, but the kind of enviable, brag-worthy campaigns that I can't help but be like, you guys, again, we spent $100 and we sold $1,000 worth of t-shirts. Like, how many more credit cards can we throw at our business manager account in order to run simultaneous campaigns because they're working so well? Not because I want you to throw more money at Facebook, but because we want you to spend on your paid reach in a place that actually is going to resonate with people, that's going to get you great results. And if you can do this organically, good on you. But most of us cannot. We've got to get our message in front of people in a way that is guaranteed to show up for them, because we don't have the organic reach or the reputation or the time online as a new business or as an unknown business. Okay, so we're using strong imagery paired with dynamic copy, the really resonating, high-performing kind of calls to action and copy and headlines that engage with and send our people wanting more. They take action on it, they dive in, they click, they can't wait to find out what we're talking about, as opposed to being more promotional, salesy, pushy noise on the internet. So important. And then, of course, the testing, optimizing, and improving. Every time you hear the word optimize, it's just a way of saying make them better. See what's working and do more of that. So from here, our ongoing measuring and iterating, optimizing is going to be key as it relates to our audiences as well as our ads. We can't just iterate ads. We have to adjust our audiences and, again, take what we've learned from our colds or the traffic that we're generating from our cold ads and turn those into customer warm audiences to get them converting. Just because they land on your website doesn't mean they're taking action. You should be measuring that, by the way, in Google Analytics. What's your conversion rate on the site when they get there? How long do they stick around? What's your bounce rate? How many pages are they viewing? Are they traversing through your site the way you want them to? All found in Google Analytics. But if it's not working, well, maybe we're hitting the wrong audience, or maybe our site is built really poorly, because ads can do all they can do. But if they hand the baton from the marketing side to the sales side and sales doesn't pick up the baton and convert them, the product isn't good enough, the sales page isn't clear, forget it. You're just wasting money. So we want to see how our ads are performing and then change the variables within them, of course, in order to continuously drive better results that we're proud to speak to and grow our ads budget with, because we can't even believe how well they're doing for us. So the insights are plentiful. We head back into simply Ads Manager, and then we can see within each campaign what the results are. We can see it by demographic, by platform, just overall performance over time. We can see the various ad sets broken down and how one ad set performed over the other. And we've probably seen this on a higher level as the campaign's running. When I have a campaign running, I give it a few days, let it do its thing, and then I can easily go in and say, whoa, our cost per click on the United Arab Emirates ad set or audience is costing us $12 a piece. Whereas over here in New Zealand, it's like 40 cents a click. So turn that one off immediately, the first one, and figure out what you're doing wrong or how your audience is not resonating or your message is not landing properly with that. But don't keep spending money like crazy on one audience when it's doing really well on another. And then, of course, finding those answers with analytics, like who is interacting with our content. So what's the age, gender, location? And remember, we can see this in Google Analytics as well, but that's who's interacting with our site. That's the end all be all kind of final stop. The content on our page, our Facebook and Instagram page in particular, is so important, because if we know what's working, we can build ads out of that. Why wouldn't we boost that post? It performed so well. Let's serve it up to more people. What form does that interaction take? So are they sharing, clicking, website visiting? What type of content is more likely to elicit what type of behavior? Is it a testimonial video where I'm welcoming someone in to meet a past customer to then click through and get the same type of result that's really performing well with clicks? Or is it some kind of like free tutorial, maybe some kind of scrolling how-to graphic that is going to do well for me on cost per mil or awareness-based results? You've got to know these kind of things. Where did that interaction take place? And that includes tracking their journey across multiple channels. So did they go from a specific post on my Instagram page to my website and purchase? Of course, I can see all that if I set up my Facebook events properly and I'm optimizing for that conversion. Or I can see it sometimes in my Google Analytics if I set that up right. I'm using UTM tracking, which we have another course for that, where I've used a lengthy redirect. So the URL of my ad where I'm sending people to has a little extension on it that I've pre-built in my UTM tag tracker. UTM is urchin tracking mechanism, and it's just a fancy way of saying like detailed tracking of each individual post. So now I go into my Google Analytics and I can see not just 30% of my visitors to my website came from Facebook. I can see that in fact 14% of my visitors and my purchasers came from that particular post or ad campaign. So when you're ready to get into more detailed tracking, that's what UTMs are for. And then finally, this one is really important. Why did some content or does some content resonate more than others? And this is the big thing that analytics really hopes to answer, but it's where we also need to put on our anecdotal human hat and say, oh, I know why that content did well, because people love our unboxing videos or the kind of like videos where I'm walking down the street and encouraging someone to come with me and not just being some talking head interview. Or those animations that we release every 6 days where we're doing some kind of really fun stop motion graphic of building some beautiful cuisine dish, whatever. So knowing what kind of content resonates or what time of year. Yeah, people love that when we do that in winter. Or, oh, this is our fall sale and of course it's going to do well. We're going to try this and this. Or that new campaign tied back really well. So you can't just rely on the data that's on the page to help you understand what to do next. You've got to also tie it together with your own experience. And that's why sales and marketing have never been so connected and intertwined. And if you don't know both ends, very starting point of content and ad campaigns, right down to results and what happened with those, well, then you've dropped the baton in the middle and you're not paying attention to what's working and you're just blindly marketing. And that is where marketers and social media managers in particular lose their clout or don't get any to begin with because they're just the pretty picture people. When in fact, if they were tracking their work, they could claim to be the most valuable part of the organization because they're the ones driving sales and they can prove it. Really, really great way to get more budget and a bigger title. Testing, so much testing. We know this. I'm going to say it again. It's crucial. Whether you call it A/B testing or just variance on your audiences, if you can form some kind of strategy to test, great. And just because, let's say, your male audience didn't do as well as your female audience, if that was your variant, doesn't mean that you're not going to advertise to males anymore. No, you've just got to find a new way to approach them or to go in with some kind of different message. And this takes testing and feedback and anecdotal decisions and new ideas. So creativity, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. And really just constantly trying to grow your audience base because you can't ignore half the population or you don't want to assume that someone isn't a candidate for your product just because they didn't resonate with that particular ad campaign like this other group. So it goes both ways. We want to continue to invest in those audiences that are resonating heavily, but also iterate our content and our ads to ensure that we bring in new audiences all the time. Now, if we're editing our ads in Ads Manager, we have to be a little bit careful because it can reset as soon as we edit it. So really be careful to check the preview of the ad before it goes live. You get so many opportunities to preview what that ad's going to look like before it's published. You don't want to go in and edit it because it will oftentimes reset your comments on that ad, the engagement, the interactions. And people are likely to click on an ad or watch a video if they see that like 642 people have liked this ad or watched this video. And you can see those stats when you're scrolling your feed to know whether or not you want to also engage with that video. So just be aware of that. You can certainly edit and duplicate ads as needed, but you want to give them a certain amount of time to run before you start editing. And you also want to ensure that, yeah, they're just really going on the right path at the outset, that the algorithm is getting all the chances it needs to learn about this ad, who needs to see it, where it's resonating well, and then serving it up without being interrupted. So some final best practices here. Move your budget to better performing ad sets, learn from them, and try to constantly create more of the better performing ad sets and ads and audiences. So we're always building. This is not set it and forget it. Try day parting and audience cycling, as I mentioned earlier. Day parting is where I only serve up my ads on Mondays and Tuesdays. Maybe that's when I find there to be the least amount of traffic and competition on the highway. Or I know that my people are very much on their phones because they're back at work or whatever. Maybe it's just evenings. You can do that too, which is kind of cool. Not many people do it. Remove the poor performers. Don't let them keep spending $17 a click. Get rid of them fast if you feel like you've given them a little bit of time. And sometimes remember that you can't make categorical statements about, oh, video content doesn't work. We ran this ad and it was $17 a click. Well, no. What might have happened is that if you had 5 different ads for that particular audience, and this one got clicked on early and liked often or shared a few times, Facebook's going to keep serving it up to more people, optimizing it for you, remember? And then it might not actually serve those other ones. So there's been some cases where I'm like, no, I know that these other ads are also really good. I love that one. It's got a joke baked into it. And I love that one because the graphics are sick. I'm going to turn off that ad for a little bit and make sure these other ones get seen. So don't just like write off something that's not performing because you think it's totally a dud. It may just be that it didn't get the early engagement and it didn't get a shot. So it's up to you. Pay attention to the data, but also insert your own intelligence. So we're not just setting and forgetting these. Yes, you can build them and spend time on them. And usually I'll take a whole day to build my fall campaign of 3 campaigns. And I've had those assets and it takes some time. But then I'm checking in on them regularly and we're iterating as we go. It's tough to sit down and just do a little bit each day of building a campaign. You want to give it some time to sink your teeth into it so you can be really strategic and map it out and launch them properly. But you're going to get better as you practice and you get more familiar with it. And it becomes actually really fun because, again, those results speak for themselves. Final module, number 7. We're almost there. We're going to talk about other opportunities. So other social platforms where once you know Facebook ads and Instagram ads, you can do the others with your eyes closed. And they may be a fantastic place for you to spread your additional paid content efforts into. I'll see you there.